Hi guys, I'm writing a game. It's a clone of games like 5 in a row or Lines. If you heard about it, you probably know the rules of the game. They are very simple. You have different balls located on the surface, and you have to line up 5 of them of the same color in one line. So the rules are very simple. So what I need is I need a rolling ball effect when the ball is moving or rolling, and when I select the ball which I want to move, I would like to have a jumping effect. And I found some problems with that, and I would like to share with you with the solution of the problem. But before that, let's talk a little about the problem behind it. So let's imagine that this is our ball. I decided to use a Unity Animator to animate the ball. So when you record the animation, it is recorded in reference to local coordinate system. So let's imagine that this pen is a y-axis of local coordinate system. So if I recorded the movement like that, which was a jumping ball, and then when I rotated the ball because I wanted to achieve the rolling ball effects, for example, I rotated it in this direction, it turned out that my jumping animation was played in this direction. But what I wanted to achieve was to rotate the ball, but without rotating the y-axis of the coordinate system that this jumping animation was recorded in reference to. So I wanted to achieve such kind of effect. Okay, so let's think for a moment how we can achieve this effect. So the solution is very simple, but you need to know what is behind it. Okay, so the solution is to create an empty prefab object which contains another empty object which is responsible for a jumping animation. So then we put another empty object inside it which will be responsible for rotating a ball. And at the end we put the ball inside it. Okay, sounds complicated? It isn't. So let's see it in practice how to achieve this effect. Okay, so at the beginning, let's create our sample scene. For example, let's create a plane. Okay, let's make it larger. Okay, 10 by 10 should be enough. Let's create some materials. I need a grass material and I need a ball material. Okay, let's make grass green as a grasses, and let's create let's say red ball material, and I'm gonna add some normal map to better see rolling effect. Okay, now let's create our ball prefab. As I said, let's create an empty object. Let's call it ball prefab. Then let's create another another empty object inside it. Let's call it Jump Animator. Okay. Let's create another object inside it, which will be responsible for rotation. So rotation animator. Okay. And at the end, let's put a sphere inside it. Okay, that's our prefab. Okay, so let's add grass material to the plane, and let's add ball material to the sphere. Okay, I made a typo here. Okay, now it's better. Okay, let's move the plane a little to the bottom. It's y minus 0.5. Okay, now it's good. So let's create a ball prefab from our ball, just to move it just by moving it here. Okay, so as you can see, we have ball prefab created. So let's open it. And now it's time to create a jump animation. To do this, just select Jump Animator and open Window, Animation, Animation. Okay. Then let's create the animation. Let's call it a jumping ball animation. And now it's time to record the animation. To do this, just click select Jump Animator, click Add Property, Transform and Position. Then let's go to the 0.2 here maybe, and let's move it to the up by 0.5, for example. Okay, sorry, I forgot to record the animation. So yes, let's go here and let's. So you need to click a record button, and then you have to create the animation. So I'm gonna move it to 0.5 up. Let's see. Okay, how it looks like. Okay, I need to move it here, and let's move it the last frame here. Yeah, so let's stop, let's play it. As you can see, we have nice jumping ball effect. Yeah, so that's all. What the next step is to open the animator. Yes, and as you can see, the default orange, which is default state of our ball, is a jumping ball. So when we play game, we can see that this is our default state, jumping ball animation. So what we need to do is we need to create an empty state, and let's call it idle, and let's make it as default state. Then go to the parameters tab and add bool parameter called jumping. And then we can create a transition from idle to jumping ball when jumping is set to true. But when, let's create another transition from jumping ball to idle, and let's up the condition. and let's set it to the condition when jumping is set to false. We want to get back to idle state. Okay, so let's click it here and let's test it. As you can see, the idle state is the ball is in idle state, but when we set jumping parameter, the animation was switched to jumping ball. Then when we unset the parameter, the animation goes back to idle state. Okay, so that's all. The next step, what we need to do is to create a ball script which will be responsible for behavior of our ball. Okay, we can create also, we can click on ball prefab and we can click add component new script ball. Okay, create and add. Okay, now let's edit the script. I want that ball should start jumping when I press a space key. So I can achieve it by typing if input dot get key down key code space so what I want is I would like to, okay, what we need is we need to pass both of our animators object. Okay, so let's create it first, then I will tell you what's going on. Okay, so private game object, let's call it jump animator. Okay, and another object, let's call it rotation animator. Okay, and let's make it public because we will set it on prefab. You will see in a moment. Okay, and what we need to do when we press space key is to set is to take a jump animator, then get component animator, and we would like to set the bool of name jumping to true. In other case, when we release the key space, we would like to set a jumping variable to, or jumping parameter to false to stop the animation. Okay, what we need to do now is we need to set this jump animator and rotation animator to the slot. So this is our jump animator, so let's move it here, and this is our rotation animator, so let's put it here. Now we are ready for our first test. When I press the space key, the ball should start jumping. So as you can see, ball is jumping. So when I release the key, the ball should stop jumping. As you can see, everything works perfect. So now I would like to go to the second problem, which is, let's start from here. The second problem is that I would like to roll the ball in a random direction when I press, let's say, return key. So let's see how to do this. Okay, so at first I need private variable system dot random equals system dot random. Okay, now when I press key return, I would like to move the ball or roll the ball. So I'm gonna create a roll2 method. When I pass vector, when I want to move my ball to, say this one, and I would like to move it in a random direction. So I can use random dot next from -10, let's say, to 10 in x-axis, 0 in y-axis, and random -10 to 10 in z-axis. So let's create roll method, roll2 method. Let's call this parameter as our target. Okay. Now let's create a private boolean. Let's call it rolling. And let's create a private vector that holds our target. And when we call the roll2 method, so let's say our target to target, and let's say this rolling to true. Okay, now it's time to create a moving effect. Okay, so if rolling, first of all, we'd like to maybe add two other parameters which we need. The first one is speed of the movement, and the second one is the radius of the ball. So let's create both of them. For example, let's say set speed to 10, and let's create a radius which we will use later to 1. You can calculate it, depend on scale, for example. But for our example, I'm gonna set it as a constant value, which is 1. Okay, so how to move the ball without rolling effect? Because okay, first of all, we need to detect if we reach the target or not. Okay, so to achieve it, we can just calculate distance to the target. So let's create a vector. Let's say target, vector to target. which is equals this target minus this dot transform dot position. The distance to the target is just magnitude of that vector. Okay, so if the distance of the target is greater than 0, it means that we have to perform some move here. But in other case, where the distance is equal to 0, we reach the target. So if we reach the target, or the target was reached, so what we need to do here is just to set our rolling to false. Just to stop moving. Okay, how to achieve, how to move the ball in the specific direction? It's very easy. We can just write something like this: dot transform dot position is equal to vector 3 dot move forwards from this position, this target, this transform position to target, and as the last parameter we need to set the distance in the current frame which we want to move. So let's calculate the distance in the current frame here. So float distance in the current frame is equal to speed times time dot delta time. Okay, so we have to pass this time as the third parameter. That's all. Let's see the effect. Okay, let's press. As you can see, when I press return key, the ball is moving in the random direction. Okay, so we are in halfway to our goal. Okay, it's time for the last thing, which is to achieve the rolling ball effect, which is also quite simple. Okay, so let's see what we need to achieve the rolling ball effect. Okay, maybe before we start, let's imagine that this is our ball. Okay, when we move, for example, in this direction, when the ball is rolling in this direction, we need to rotate it like that, and then we would like to rotate it right, depend on how much we move the ball in that direction, because if the we need to calculate a few things to achieve this effect. So maybe I will write the code and then I will explain it to you why I do some calculation. Okay, that will be easier for me, because my English is not perfect, so it's really hard for me to think in English and to explain it to you in the same time. So what we need to roll the ball is we need to calculate the circumference of the ball. So sorry for my dog. To calculate the circumference of the ball, we can use math expression, which is 2 times math pi times radius of the ball. Okay, now we have calculated the circumference of the ball. The next thing is to calculate the angle change, or I mean the angle data. It means the angle rotation of the ball depends on the distance that we traveled in the frame. So to do this, we can use a very simple expression, which is float angle delta, and we can calculate it by dividing distance in the current frame by the total circumference. This value is expressed in radians, so we need to convert it to 2 degrees. So to do this, we can just to convert it, we can just multiply it by 360. Now it's the hardest part of the tutorial is what I said. Let's imagine that this is our ball and the ball is rotated in this direction, and let's imagine that we want to move the ball in this direction. So maybe in this direction to you. Okay, so let's think for a moment. Where is what is our rotation? What will be our rotation axis? So if this is a vector to the target, which is located right there, like that, our rotation axis will be perpendicular to the to this vector, this target vector, oriented to the right. Okay, and that's what I'm going to calculate now. So let's calculate our rotation axis. We can calculate it by using quaternion dot look rotation, and we look in direction vector to target. Okay, then we need to achieve or calculate the right vector. So we can just multiply it by vector 3 dot right. And now it's time for the last line of the code, which is just to rotate our rotation animator. So this rotation animator transform rotate, and we can use this one. So what we need to pass is first of all we need to pass our rotation axis, then we need to pass our angle delta, and space world. That's all. It's time for test. Okay, so let's click play. And when I press space button, as you can see, the ball is jumping. And I hope when I press return key, yeah, the ball is rolling in a random direction, so everything works perfect. As you can see, I can also have the combination of both movements by holding a space key and putting return key down. As you can see, everything works perfect. So yeah, that's all for today. If you want, you can give me a thumb up, which helps me to achieve the wider audience. If you like my video, you can subscribe to my channel to not to miss any further videos. And one more thing, the source code of the application you can find on my GitHub. The link you can find in the description below. So thank you for watching and see you.